Hello, my name is Peregrine, and before we start, I just want to say thank you for the love recently, it means the world. And secondly, this video is going to cover some pretty sensitive topics, so if you're adverse to that, feel free to click off, and have a nice day while you're at it. For those still around, let's get into it. If there's one character I've had the most beef with in Overwatch, it's Mercy. From a gameplay perspective, Mercy is one of the most unhealthy characters ever added to a video game, being the lowest skill floor and ceiling of a character I've ever seen. She's been fundamentally broken, not in an overpowered way, but just not functioning in the game since release. However, Mercy the character is a completely different story, with her being one half of my favourite contrasting pair of Overwatch characters. Like I said in my video about Baptiste, one of my favourite types of character writing is when the character is used as a mirror to the real world, to ask a genuine question and discuss real world problems. And today's question is, what is more important, morals or scientific progress? Mercy is presented to us as a paragon of morality because she is a member of the good guys and follows what is commonly considered the good way of doing research by the current zeitgeist. Excellent work, Mercy. You may have one Reddit gold. Mercy runs countless expensive and time-consuming tests and jumping through hoops like a good girl to avoid having to test on animals or humans. And in fairness to Dr. Ziegler, she gets the work done. Her tools are all functional and very well working at that. However, still, her scientific capabilities, her work on genetics, are nothing compared to that of Moira Odoran. I searched for a way to pronounce her surname, I couldn't find one. I can't, I'm sorry. You're just gonna have to accept that I'm stupid. Overwatch's writing team have made no effort in trying to hide this or make this I've got so much gas. The Overwatch development team have made it pretty obvious that these two are supposed to be a contrasting pair. They have matching sprays and countless interactions in the spawn room, discussing how Mercy's research is blocked by her morals, and how Moira is a monster creator.
I'd rather wait a century for progress than cause the harm you have.
What a joy it must be to feel entitled to patience.
How are you funding your crimes against humanity these days?
My old friend's innovation and imagination. A shame you've never met them. How fares your research, Dr. Ziegler? Making much progress through all that red tape?
It's called the Hippocratic Oath, Doctor. Ring any bells? I've read about the genetic therapy they put you through. It sounds unpleasant.
It was, but ignorance was worse.
Don't bother. Reason is lost on her.
They are considered somewhat of a yin and yang in the field of medical research. Both Mercy and Moira share a common goal of curing as many ailments as possible and creating a brighter world for humanity to live in. Mercy does this with empathy, Moira does this, I think, simply just to see how far she can push the human body. Regardless, even if she was doing it for money, she'd still be working towards a good goal. However, Mercy is undeniably painted as an angel and Moira as a demon, a sick twisted freak who creates monsters, but in all honesty, Moira's doing a lot better than Mercy. Her track record remains stronger, and not only does she usually double the amount of healing in game, that's a joke. That's not relevant. That's a joke. Don't take that seriously. It's a joke. That's not a real point. I'm joking. Calm down. But Moira also has the ability to just straight up alter human DNA, creating what we now know as Reaper, whose cells are constantly destroying and recreating themselves, allowing Gabriel Reyes to dodge bullets and teleport while also shooting his fucking guns. I don't know about you, but that sounds a little bit overpowered, and that might be a little bit more impressive than simply healing someone's wounds with a touch. Now obviously these are unrealistic expectations to have for scientists in our time, but these two characters do bring up an important moral question. What is more important, curing diseases and maximising humanity's potential, or sticking to morals, avoiding cruel, inhumane treatment of animals, and risking experimental treatments on dangerously ill patients? Of course, right now, I know some of you are clutching your fighting animal testing tote bag close to your chest while calling me an evil incel for daring to even ask this question, but genuinely, I want you to sit there and actually think about it. Because as someone with familial familial polyposis, I'm not going to say the middle, which is a condition that gives me basically a 100% chance of getting cancer. I think personally speaking, a few rabbits and a chimp being experimented on to get rid of that condition for me, yeah, I think I'd take that. I think, To get rid of this condition I have, I would be ripping the heads off of rabbits with my bare hands and fucking the chimp if it got rid of my condition. Anything that means I don't have to have surgery soon that will rip my intestines out. That's not a joke, that's the cure, is to take out my fucking intestines. I will have to live with a shit bag for the rest of my life. You know, that animal testing thing suddenly doesn't seem so fucking bad if it got rid of it, you know? But then again, I can't guarantee results from that. I can't guarantee that killing and torturing these animals will cure this condition. And that's one of the problems with Moira's view and Moira's way of doing science, is that there's often dead ends and red herrings, which, not to bring the mood down, we have to talk about the logical extreme that Moira's at. I think when it comes to Moira, her most obvious comparison would be the research done by the Japanese during World War II in the infamous Unit 731. Unit 731 was a group of monsters who essentially tortured Chinese, Korean and Russian civilians in the name of researching the extents of the human body and what biological and chemical warfare does to someone. And unfortunately, the final irony of it all was, because of the terrible condition that kept these people, none of the research was even viable. It was completely pointless. In the end, 200,000 people died for absolutely nothing more than some sick people's curiosity. And, you know, this still happens today to a certain degree. And, you know, it's often, you know, it's a little bit controversial to compare human loss to animal loss, but if you're someone who very much cares about animals, this is still definitely going on today. A lot of animals dying in testing pretty much every day, for the betterment of humanity, obviously. It really shows that at the end of the day, no matter which way you go about it, both sides end up with heaps and heaps of preventable deaths and preventable cruelty. But then again, that's why I like these characters so much. It's what's so good about the writing here. It makes you think about the moral questions with no answers, and it encourages deeper critical thinking at a time where critical thinking is 6 feet under and its grave is constantly being pissed on by our elites. And that's why I wanted to emphasise these characters and this style of writing. Video games are at heart an art form, and art is always at its best when it leaves you thinking about the world around us, how we can better ourselves and make a better world for everyone else. And hey, thank you for watching, and maybe this was your first time learning about Unit 731, and that's, I mean, it's horrible, but it's a good thing to share their stories and to let that be known, so history never repeats itself, and maybe you can keep those people in mind next time you're doing your minute's silence in November, or if you're a religious person, maybe keep them in your prayers. It would be nice. It would be nice if there's a heaven for those people to go to. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. Enjoy your day. Thank you for the support recently. I'm not sure what to do after this video, to be honest. I received some bad news today, and I don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of the day, besides edit the video, I suppose. But, you know, I hope you guys can enjoy your day regardless.